Hey everyone, happy Thursday. Tried to have a conversation yesterday and we couldn't get it to work. I think Facebook had a meltdown yesterday, didn't it? No one seemed to be able to send messages or get their Facebook fix. So today we're having an awesome conversation with my good friend Emmanuel. Let's see. Hey Angela, how are you? All right, there he is. All right, let's see if this works. Cindy. We have arrived.
Yeah, nice to see you again or hear from you again.
You too. How are you? Are you
Good,
outside?
good. No, this is just my living room, like dining room table that I don't really eat at too much.
We all have that.
I'm
Well,
jealous. You're
cool. I
drinking
guess,
probably you're drinking probably really good tea right now, and like I kind of feel left out.
yeah, licorice spice. Well, I'm super excited to have this conversation with you because I've actually had several people uh, tell me that they're having issues with their manifesting powers and they're feeling really lost. So,
Yeah.
and as you had mentioned to me yesterday, a lot of times people try Reiki and all these other different energy healing modalities, but they're still feeling stuck. So, how did you come across this amazing information?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for like allowing me to like share my story with your friends. I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, so I live out here in Vegas. My wife and I have been out here for about 6 years, and I was it was around like July 2015 where I was like in a state of malaise. I don't know if people are watching here, you can put a one down there if you've ever felt kind of like I guess the word stuck. I guess maybe I don't know if anyone's ever felt that before or just me,
Yeah.
but it had to do with my work. I was like a fish out of water. Like I was like being a real estate trainer, but like I don't have a real estate license. So it's kind of weird. Like I don't know how that worked. I was like a little mini Tony Robbins for these real estate agents. So I didn't know I don't know what I was doing there. And but I did a good job. I think I helped them out. But I was doing that. My wife and I were kind of going through some ups and downs. Like everybody has relationships ups and downs, right? And my finances were going down. I was going into debt. I didn't know what my mission in life was, and I was like still trying to figure out like what am I doing here? Like I have no idea what I'm doing here. And so that's kind of like where it all started. And I looked into Amazon, just did a like suggested read, and all that there was it was suggested read was emotion code, and I was like, oh cool, like how to release your trapped emotions for abundant health, love, and happiness. And so I'm like, this looks interesting. And I thought it was a self development book, but it wasn't. It was an energy healing book, and I was this close to return it because I was like, I don't do energy healing because I grew up with two parents that were both oncologists and hematologists, so very logical people. But later on, I found my mother did a lot of energy healing stuff, but it was kind of like on the down low. But yeah, I read it and I was like, man, if this is real, then I mean, this would be amazing. I mean, I don't even know you can work with people long distance. That sounds like superhero status, And so, but I read it. It made a lot of sense. I got certified. I worked with 26 people and four animals. And then I got certified and I started working with people like left and right and started seeing people's pain go down. That's kind of like when I first meet people, I'm always like, where do you hold your pain? Where do you hold your stress?
Mhm.
And because that's very tangible, like we were talking about yesterday, like pain is very tangible. And if you can lower something down and let them know an energy or emotion that got stuck in their body at a certain time and they can relate to it, it's very powerful. And that's kind of how it all started. So,
Wow. Well, it was kind of like magic. So I got to experience some of this yesterday, this emotion code healing. And I had actually had an experience with it, I guess in October with a friend. And yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. I definitely hold a lot of my pain in the left side of my body. And yesterday, like it was gone after. we got off the phone. So how how do you determine, so how exactly does it work? Because I know a lot of people are like, okay, that just sounds like magic, like hocus
Yeah,
pocus, woo woo, whatever.
yeah. Yeah, it sounds like witchery, so I gotta like hide my broom or something, you know? No, it's actually so first of all, the thing that we have to do is like there's a really great quote that I really like, and you've probably read the book before, but it's like T. Harv Eker wrote a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, right? And he wrote this my favorite quote is, "You're either rich or you're right, but you can't be both," you know? And I
Ooh.
realized that a lot of people love to be right, but if you notice, if you really look into like in your microscope where they're right, they're actually poor or broke in that area. You see, so if you're so right about health, then how come you're suffering with diabetes? If you're so right about religion, how come you or spirituality, why can't you sleep at night? You see, if you're so right, you know, so I was one of the things I kind of made the decision in 2006 is like I'm gonna find more ways to be wrong so I could be rich. So when people tell me something new, I'm like, yeah, please. I'm like, please tell me, like, I want to be totally wrong in this area, completely rip my paradigm in half, because I know that if I rip it, that paradigm, there's something higher I'm about to elevate myself to. So if you haven't, read this book, I would definitely read it. Now, the beautiful thing about this book is that you guys are all lucky who are watching this, because the new revised version from the third top high like world publisher is publishing this book again. So this will be like in the airports everywhere, like I think post April. And
Wow.
Tony Robbins is going to be forwarding it, which is a really big deal. If you don't know Tony Robbins, you're probably living under a rock. But he's going to be forwarding it, and it's going to be like right now we're talking about it, no one knows about it, but everyone's going to know about it this year. And it's going to have also, the new edition is going to have clinical trials of PTSD clients and how it lowered their PTSD doing this type of modality. And so I totally spaced out on like what question you just asked
Well,
me,
just like
but
how exactly does this work? Because I know a lot of people are like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but like, how
okay,
does this really work?
that's right. That was the question. See, I need that T. See, the T is helping out. I know. Um, the the way it works is this: is in this book they have this thing called the emotion code chart. And so the way this maybe it'll kind of maybe I'll tell Dr. Brad's quick story so you guys kind of know like where did this all come from, right? I think it might be very important. So Dr. Brad was a chiropractor for 20 years, and he had his like he calls it the brick and mortar business, but it was just a regular chiropractic business. And what the reason why this all started, it's kind of a beautiful thing, is that he was sick and tired of seeing people dealing with chronic illnesses and chronic diseases. And so he was seeing that, but he was like, how could I help them out? I'm just a chiropractor. I can only do so much. And he, since the beginning, he's always kind of like prayed and kind of just asked for help from above before he even met with anybody. Like he's never met with anybody without asking for help. And sometimes he would realize that like before he even met with someone, sometimes a flood of information would come into him and he would know exactly what to do with a person. So he thought to himself, he's like, this is the way to do it. I have to always ask for help. And so he said, how could I help people with these chronic diseases? And then he was kind of inspired to go to ancient cultures where they believe that your organs are these frequency generators. So obviously, if we were to look through our hand, we were to microscope, we would go, this is quantum physics. This is 101 is that, we would go down all the way to like a cell, then we go to like atoms, and then we go to energy, right? So we're all emotional, energetic beings, right? And what I didn't know is that your organs are producing these emotions that we're feeling. These energies, they're the size of a tennis ball to like a cantaloupe, and they're kind of getting processed through our body as we experience emotions. And then pop, they come out of your skin, and then all of a sudden you're over that feeling. So you're feeling sadness, and then once it pops out, you're like, okay, I'm over the sadness. Okay, so so that's kind of what we're all dealing with. But your organ, sometimes if it's a very strong energy, like strong frustration, strong anger, strong resentment, these energies don't get processed properly, and so they get stuck near the organ that created it, or sometimes it kind of goes to a weak link in the body. So like the average human has between 200 to 300 trapped emotions, and they don't even know it. Yeah. So and so there's three symptoms. If anyone's taking notes here, I think you'd really appreciate this, because what you don't know can hurt you. And there's these three things that it does for you. Number one, it can irritate the tissues of the body. or different parts of your body. So Dr. Brett's had amazing success with rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia. People are like, we have no idea why we have this pain. And doctors, just like, here, take this pill. This will make you feel better. But
Yeah.
really what it is like, it's emotional trauma that's starting to affect the tissues of the body. That's number one. Number two is it can also give you multiple body symptoms. So if you have like IBS, ADD, addictions, stomach problems, Crohn's, I mean, any type of physical issue manifestation could be like 80% of it could be just trapped emotions that started something in your body. And then also it can create multiple emotional symptoms like PTSD, depression, anxiety. And then the last thing it does, it makes you very reactive. Now, y'all know we're all reactive, right? I mean, if she were to kind of make this post like, let's talk about Trump, like, I think pretty much this whole thing, this would be the craziest, most
Would
viral
probably
thing
be the most
ever.
popular conversation too.
Exactly. Yeah, it'd be the most popular conversation, and then we would all lose about 50 or 60 friends today. So why is that? It's because we're a very reactive society. We're very reactive, and it has to do with these trapped emotions that, let's say you were in the trimester of your mom, third trimester, and let's say your mom felt, oh, I don't know, like love unreceived. Like maybe she was trying to like give more love to your father, and he's kind of like, oh, I'm busy with work, blah blah blah, love unreceived. Inside the womb, you would absorb this energy of love unreceived, and then it's easy for you to feel like, here I go again, putting love out there, just doesn't come back to me the way I want it. So it makes you reactive to that. And so we're very reactive people, but technically we're behind that. We're behind all those trapped emotions. We actually are pretty James Bond, calm, collected people, but above on the surface that we have all these trapped emotions that change that. And so the way I do it is muscle testing is how now I'm getting to the answer. The muscle testing is how I work with people. And if you've ever done this test where like a lot of people have done applied kinesiology or muscle testing where doctors have been using it for dozens and dozens of years, and you're asking yes and no questions. So for example, let's say you have a headache, and I would ask you, hey Jessica, do you have any trapped emotions causing your headache? And if I were to test you and your arm was strong, it'd mean yes. If it went down, it would be no. And so then I'd be like, okay, well, and then I would go through a chart that's in here, and you can Google it, chart. You would look up emotion code chart, and what you would do is you would say, okay, so is the trapped emotion in column A? And the arm would go down. And then it says, okay, is it in column B? Wow, the arm is strong. So now you're going through this chart that has 60 emotions. So Dr. Brad, what he did is he made it very organized, like very methodical, and be like, there's 60 emotions. They're in column A and column B. They're an even, there's an odd. And then you're trying to like find out that one square that has those 5 emotions. And then you ask, okay, so is it this emotion? No. Is it this emotion? No. Is this, oh, it's strong now. So it's this emotion. And then I could ask, how old were you when you got this? And I can say, is it over 15 years old? Nope. Okay, so it's younger than 15. Yes, it is. And so that's kind of like the whole thing is through muscle testing. And then what you would use is you would use a magnet. Here's a little magnet here. This is like the Niken MagBoy, but you don't have to use a magnet. You can actually, your fingertips have a lot of energy in it. So I used to use the magnet on my head. I used to kind of just roll it on my head, but now I just use my hand. And but with you, for example, if I were muscle testing you, I would use this in your spine, which is you're running this on the governing meridian, which is like, Asian, Chinese acupuncture, right? So it goes from like your upper lip all the way to back to your spine. And if you just, it's kind of like the motherboard of your body, like in regards to like energy. So if you find the trapped emotion, the body's okay, there's the trapped emotion, then it's like, okay, do we need to know more about it before we release it? Sometimes the body says, yeah, we need to know the age, or we need to know something else sometimes. But other times it says, no, that's enough, the age and the emotion. And sometimes it doesn't even need to know the age. It's like, yeah, just the emotion's enough. Now the energy is kind of bubbling at the skin of your body. Then you use the magnet and just use it on your back 3 times, and then just pops out the energy. And then that's when the release happens, and you keep asking, is there something else causing headaches? And that's how you do it. So it's a very methodical way by using muscle testing. But then if you're long distance, I muscle test myself, and then I use the magnet on myself, or I use my hand on myself, and it releases the energy from you. Obviously, you and I didn't meet yesterday, and you're like, why is my pain gone? And it's because I was doing this the whole time. I was saying, is this yes? Is this no? So I was just kind of asking questions with my hands, and then I used my hand on my head to release it from you. Make sense?
Yes, super powerful.
Yeah.
So So in the other video that I watched, talking about the heart wall, can you explain what that is and how we get rid of it?
Sure. Yeah. And go ahead and you know, if you guys want to write, like, if some of you guys can know some heart emojis down there. Like, only put a heart emoji down there if you can relate to what I'm about to talk about. Otherwise, don't put the heart emoji. We don't need your heart emojis. I'm just kidding. No, but what we're gonna do is there's a in regards to the heart wall, Dr. Brad. It's kind of amazing. You don't know this information. I don't think you do, but he actually had a vision about the heart wall. So his wife had a dream. I've known him and his wife for a while now. We're actually really good friends, and his wife had this dream, and it was a very inspired dream. And he was trying to, like, basically figure out, like, what does it mean and everything like that. And that day, he actually went into one of his rooms in his house, and the floor started changing beneath him. So he was having a vision, like a real waking vision. And he had the floor was changing beneath him, and it started turning to a solid wooden floor. Now, his wife suffered with depression and PTSD. So just kind of like to preface that. And what happened was is he saw this floor, and he heard this voice say that your wife's heart is underneath that floor. So then he went over to her, and he was just like, "Hey, I got this vision, and this is what happened, blah blah." She's like, "Do you know what this means?" And she's like, "I have no idea." So for the first time in history, healing history, said, he says, put up your arm real quick. I need to ask you a question. Do you have a heart wall? And then basically her arm, for the first time ever, tested positive. So she was the first person in history that the body actually understood that terminology of heart wall. And then what it is like, he found out later on that your body is taking these trapped emotions. I mean, how many times have you felt, Jessica, like your heart feels heavy, or it feels like it's going to break, during hard, stressful times? Yeah, a lot of times, right? Like during emotional stress. But see, if you talk to a cardiologist from, like, let's say like Mayo Clinic, right? If you, like, maybe 20 years ago, if you said, "Hey, what causes broken heart syndrome?" He probably wouldn't say something emotional. But now, more than ever, if you talk now to a cardiologist, say, "What really causes people's heart to break?" He would say it's emotional trauma. It's usually stress at work. It's usually breakups, divorces, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and for whatever reason, it affects the heart. And then what happens is the tendons inside the heart start stretching, so the heart feels like heavy, or it feels tender, it feels like it's going to break. The problem is that a lot of people, we deal with a lot of broken heart syndrome symptoms, but we don't know what protects us, because what happens if what happens if the tendons rip? Actually, the heart will break, and you will die of a broken heart. But what's keeping us from having a broken heart syndrome is that your body's taking trapped emotions as a defense mechanism and placing it over the heart so the heart doesn't break. So if you're feeling, for example, like deep
Wow.
sorrow for a boyfriend that broke up with you, and you feel deep sorrow and your heart's starting to feel that pain, your body's looking somewhere in your body system to say, where is the trapped emotion of sorrow? Oh, there it is. Cool. Let's scoop it up and place it over the heart. Now you have a sorrow wall over the heart. And so you're constantly stacking it. And trust me, you're getting it in your childhood. If like your parents were fighting a lot, you're putting some absorbing some energies from there. If your mother was having issues in the trimester, you're probably creating your heart wall. I've seen lots of kids. Most people have started their heart walls in their trimesters. In their third or second trimester, you can have a heart wall there because your mom was going through some stress. So you're building these walls, and what happens is these three things can get worse: depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And then whoever's writing a pen down, you can, these are the 5 symptoms of the heart wall. You ready, Jessica? Okay, here we go.
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Number 1 is low immune system, low energy. Okay, so just you were like, man, I wish I had more energy throughout the day, right? Number 2 is a lack of clarity of your mission in life. So it's kind of like fog of like, what am I supposed to be doing? Is this what I'm supposed to, it's just like a fog, right? Or if you're like, man, I already know what my mission is, like, psh, well, then maybe it's all mental, but it's not confirmed by the heart. It's not. So once you have it, it doesn't say as ye thinketh in your brain, so are you, in the good book. It says as ye thinketh in your heart. So your heart, and now more than ever, science is proving that heart is actually a second brain, and that it's sending messages to your organs and glands just like the brain is. So but if there's a wall in front of it, it's hard to find your mission, you see. Then the third one is you might get desensitized. I mean, how many times, Jessica, have you felt like people are giving you love and affection, and you're like, I see you giving the love and affection to me, but I don't feel it. Like it doesn't, you don't really feel it. My son's saying hi. you don't really feel it. You don't really feel it, you know? And so like it doesn't fill up your cup, right? Then the fourth one is your love influence gets twisted. So imagine having all this trauma. I love the way Dr. Brad says it. He says that your heart is sending out these messages. It's already proven from the, I'm trying to remember what it's called, Heart Math Institute. Heart Math Institute has
Yeah,
proven, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so that they made tests where, like, you know, they see that there's electromagnetic frequencies coming out of your heart that can affect people 10 to 12 feet. It's like measured now scientifically, and it affects the brain waves of someone else. When you walk into a room, you're affecting the brain waves of other people with your heart. But now here's the thing: is that Dr. Brad kind of sneaks in a little statement in there, and he says, by the way, if you know anything about electromagnetic frequency, there's no end to it. So it's only measured 10 to 12 feet, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't go further. So you're sending out messages to different countries, to different states, to different, we're all interconnected in that way. But if you have trauma in front of your heart, guess what you're doing? This little beautiful butterfly, as Dr. Brad would say, this is like my Napoleon Dynamite thing, you know, this beautiful butterfly has to go through all these walls of like sadness, sorrow, depression, anger, all the stuff you went through. And by the time this butterfly passes all these walls, it's this strange, deformed creature. And that's what you're sending to people. And that's why there's contention in relationships, you know? And so, and the last thing is it also prevents you from having more wealth. Because think about it, if you don't know your mission, you don't know how to receive love, you don't know how to give love, it could hold you back from like a really big magnet, which is wealth. So that's kind of a little summary of the heart wall there.
So basically, this is the missing ingredient that's keeping us from manifesting everything that we desire in our lives is all these walls that we're putting up around our heart.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, think about it. If you're doing the law of attraction and you're doing, let's say, like visualization, you're just visualizing the life you want, and then you're doing like mantras and stuff and everything like that. What is all that if you keep sending mixed messages to people? Like the last time I checked, Rhonda Byrne is not releasing your heart wall trauma that you've had to help you to like give clear messages to people while you're trying to attract what you're trying to attract. So no author's doing that for you. Whenever you read a book, there's no energy going pop out of your body. So it's like we're kind of like ever learning new information, but our energy is not matching the goal that we want. And so, yeah, the heart wall is just one of the things, but there's also other things that might be holding you back from what you want as well, which I'd love to talk about at some point.
Well, yeah, I don't know. We probably don't have enough time. Well, that's probably another conversation, but
Sure, totally.
well, so in really knowing how powerful this is for the individual, it seems like we could actually transform the whole planet if we started removing a lot of heart walls.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Dr. Brad talks about that, how he says that imagine a world where everyone's living at their full heart potential. It would be a very different world. He even kind of goes there. He says, what if we can reach our political leaders and we just released all their heart trauma? Like this world would be very, very different. We wouldn't be fighting over each other. We wouldn't be greedy. It'd be a very different, we would feel more empathy for what people are going through. So he does talk about that.
Well, yeah, and I think we live or we have been living like in a very old paradigm of do like action oriented and thinking and the mind and stuff, and when we fully embrace how energetic we are, then we really have the power to transform everything, I think.
Totally. Yeah. And I think what's kind of beautiful is we live in a world right now where it's kind of like people think that energy healing is like something new. And, you know, and I hate the term new age because it really isn't new age. It's actually old age. It's what we used to do before. And Dr. Brad describes it as the pendulum that we used to, it's actually swinging back to where it used to be. Because, you know, our great grandfathers, grandmothers, I mean, I can imagine my ancestry from Peru, they were probably looking at the stars, they were probably looking at the food, what to eat, and they were probably doing some methods of energy healing to help people. But because, you know, big pharma comes out there and puts their foot down, and they have to have deliverers like, you know, doctors and stuff like that that are trained to push big pharma out, but here's the thing: now we're getting the repercussions of like the advice of big pharma. And so a lot of people are getting sick and their depression's getting worse and their anxiety is getting worse. So now we have a very upset generation of like this, we've tried this, it doesn't work. And now there's this big window opening where like it's like the old way of healing people is starting to come back to be like, we have to go back to our roots again. So it's kind of a really amazing time. And I think more people are more open because of the frustrations of the things that didn't work before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good timing, you know?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a large amount of people, and I've been one of them. I still have moments of just like, why am I here? Because you've tried all of the other physical things for your health, you know, your nutrition, your um well, I call them the four pillars of health, your nutrition, your water, your hormones, and your microcirculatory system. And those all need to be functioning at an optimum level, but ultimately it's also the emotions that keep you stuck in that loop that you keep coming back to.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you that you have to be, it's not enough just to do all those things and then kind of negate the fact, again, we're creating these energies. What's happening to us as we create these energies? And are we turning a corner that we have no idea how bad it really is? You know, I mean, I wish I can go back in time and help out my mother who passed away with pancreatic cancer in 2011. And I started looking through the pancreas emotions. I'm like, oh wow, so she felt a lot of these. Makes a lot of sense, you know, and like my last words that or not last words, but something that my mother told me, which was very shocking to me before she passed away, maybe like a month before she passed away, was like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. And I remember going like, what do you mean you're not good enough?
Wow.
I was like, you're a doctor. You live in Palos Verdes. It's like Pleasantville over here. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like,
Mhm.
I'm like, where'd you get that from? Now, here's what she said. She says, my mother used to tell me that all the time, that I wasn't good enough. You see? So think about this. Like, that's haunted her for this whole time. She's not passing away in peace because of what your mother said. Later on, as I researched the body code, the emotion code, I was like, it makes sense why she held on to something like that. There's
Wow.
energies that are stuck in her body that even if the time passes, these energies remind her of what things that have happened to her. So, and then it affects her body and it affected her pancreas, and there she goes. You see?
Wow. Well, I haven't started reading the book yet, but my dad actually passed away 7 years ago from, well, he had prostate cancer, but then they did surgery and then he did chemotherapy and radiation. So ultimately he really died from the treatments that they give people. But I
Sure.
wonder what is the correlation with like that type of cancer with those type of emotions?
Yeah, I would have to look in the manual in front of me, but it's what the beautiful thing is in the body code. There's the emotion code, which is just those charts, and then there's the body code, which is
Okay.
Dr. Brad claims is the most complete healing system on the planet, and it has over 200 hyperlinks. And really, when I work with people, it would show like, okay, prostate. It would be like, these are the emotions that affect the prostate, and these are the emotions that affect this gland, this organ. And it's not all emotional. It could be physical too. There could be like, he could
Right.
have had lead toxicity. He could have had, something else. And the body code addresses that, addresses pathogens and toxins. So it's not just all emotional. There could be things that are outside of emotions that are affecting people's body, but the body code finds it.
Yeah, we're we're so layered as human
Totally, yeah.
beings.
We're a little complicated, but the good news is that I love what Dr. Brad said. He said something like, we have a tune-up system, like the body code system is like there for us to tune up our bodies and to heal each other as like, children of the Creator. And it's just meant for us to be here. Just like it makes sense to put like tune-up system in a car. Like if the gas is going down or if the oil needs help, it's like we're that intelligent that would be like, we need maintenance here. But how come we have the most complicated, most amazing system on the planet, but we came with no tune-up system? No, we like our designer knew better to be like, no, we need a tune-up system ourselves. And right now, I think the body code and emotion code can really help out with that.
So how can people get a tune up with you?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put my link below, and the good news is I like to offer complimentary sessions. So I love when people are very skeptical and say, "Come on, man, you can't release my pain, and you can't help me with wealth." And I like to just be like, "Here, let me just give you a free session, just like you yesterday." And you believed only like one thing is belief mental, but when you feel it, you're like, "Whoa, I feel really calm and relaxed." I mean, you remember how you felt, like calm
Yeah.
and relaxed, and like you felt like some energies were moving, and then also on top of that, your pain went away, and even beyond that, there was specific ages and emotions that I could not know anything about your life. I mean, this is probably the longest conversation we've ever had, but I
Right.
somehow knew ages and emotions that matched things that you dealt with in your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it except for that we're all connected. And I just, It's just something I know because I can feel it. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, so I'll definitely put my scheduling system down there, just if anyone wants a complimentary session. And then yeah, I think I do have. I'll also post a video too where I did talk about kind of like the secret, because I know like if anybody's curious like why does the secret not work for me, I'll post a video maybe on your wall so that people can. I made a video about it, and it's
oh,
it's
very
it's called
cool.
like yeah, I think it's called like I don't think it's called The Secret's a Scam. I think it's called like the secret behind the secret, because the secret's not a scam, by the way. It's not. The law of attraction is very real, and Dr. Brad like acknowledges that. So he says the law of attraction is real, but you need to align your energies with your goal. If not, you'll kind of keep spinning your wheels, and that's why I think a lot of people are like, this stuff doesn't work. Don't. Law of attraction is very, very real, and it is a quantum physics thing. Like attracts like. That's a real thing, but you have to. But what if you're not, matching with your goal? Then that's the issue. And so I can help you. And I think the best example would be, how can you acquire wealth if you have a great 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 grandfather? This is Dr. Brad's example. He had a great 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 grandfather. They did genealogy work. They wanted to see where he was. He was in Ireland and he owned a potato farm. And he said, and in his journals he said something like, even though I'm poor, I'm happy. Guess what he had? He had a worthlessness energy in his body, and it got passed down generations all the way down to him, and it was blocking Dr. Brad from his own abundance. And his daughter released it from him, and then when his daughter released from it, it actually healed everybody in that line, and it healed the daughter too. And after that, the daughter went on a full-on year excursion doing the body code, and like didn't come back home for a whole entire year, was traveling the world just using the body code. So her reward for working on her dad was that energy went to her too, and so it released it from her, and then it helped her wealth as well. So it's pretty amazing. Like epigenetics is a real thing. Like you can have energies from your ancestors, and so, but how could you attract something amazing, the secret, if you're feeling constantly worthless because of an ancestor that felt that way?
Yeah, it's like you're speaking different languages, trying
Hmm.
to give out the same message.
Yeah, totally.
Hmm. Very cool. Well, yeah, if you could post whatever info you think is relevant below. And for anyone who has questions, please post your questions. We'll get to your questions. And feel free to connect with this amazing healer. I mean, ultimately we're all healers, but you have tools that are going to help people bring out that healing in themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that. That's like a really good message that I really hope everyone heard, Jessica, is technically we're all healers. We all are born healers, and this system was just to wake us up to our healing abilities. That's all it really is. But there's nothing special about me. I found something, I got to work. I love helping people. I love seeing people win. And I really believe in this modality just because at first everyone goes skeptical into it, but then when you start seeing people change, there's just undeniable change in front of you, and people not wanting to lie to you that things are changing in their body. I mean, like no one wins if you tell me my pain's gone down. And I love it when people are like, let me tell you the truth, it's at this. I'm like, great, let's keep working on it. Oh, look, now it went down. And so the more now at this point, it's like my testimonial is like the sun. It's like it's just very, very real at this point. I can't deny the sun at this point. you know
Well, yeah, it's inspiration. It's like Kristen and I talk about in our videos. Like I'm just here to inspire myself, and if inspiring myself, I inspire other people to inspire themselves, then cool.
yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's
Well,
awesome.
thanks for joining me, and I definitely would love to continue this conversation. I think there's a lot more we in depth we could go, or you could go with it. I'm just learning really, so I'm super grateful that you joined me, and thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be in touch soon, and I'll leave those links below. And thanks again for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you all for watching.
Take care. Bye.